Welcome to the Dr. Tom Show. Today, I am so excited to have someone who, every time I think about this gentleman, if you're watching the YouTube, you'll see me grinning like a Cheshire cat. You know what? And if you're listening to it on audio, hopefully you can get that vibe from my fast-paced talk. But today, I've got Jamal with me today, and I met Jamal years ago over in Amsterdam. We were at a conference. And just that first interaction was this warmth and energy and love that came from this gentleman. And I'll be honest, Jamal's a little bit energetic for some people, but it is so genuine. It's beautiful. So Jamal, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Oh man, it's an honor to be here, Doc. It really is. I'm happy to connect to the UK. It's only a matter for I make my appearance there next year, ideally, and I'm just super excited to be here. I hope y'all can just feel this love, feel this energy, and hopefully y'all feel like you can give yourselves a hug because of it.
That's amazing. Tell us whereabouts in the States you're coming from today.
Marietta, Georgia. I'm a chiropractic student studying at Life University, the Life University,
Amazing.
founded by City Williams, right outside of Atlanta.
Fantastic. And I said, we're going to start with the end in mind, because that's how I like to do all my businesses. But I'm just going to jump straight in on this call and just ask you, Jamal, what legacy do you want to leave this planet?
Oh, man. I feel like chiropractic is an extension of what my big purpose is. And it's been refining, but ultimately I'd love to be a conduit for people to give themselves more and more permission to experience more life per moment and just heightened life expression. So my lasting legacy, I want people to be able to give themselves the permission to just smile more, to be more, to laugh more, to hug more, to just all the things, give themselves the permission of the big ideas that they don't think that they can accomplish, whether it's through my hands or it's through my hugs or it's through the words that I share, or the resonance or the lessons that I've learned and shared and compiled. Like, I just want people to be more, because I feel like there is a true science or a true value, a true gold, like it's with being a human being. And I feel like a lot of people get lost in being human doings. So the more human beings I can affect and just let themselves move and groove as they need to, so that way they can impact the different circles and communities and cultures and people that are around themselves. That sounds like a life well lived.
Wow. And I can feel it in your being when I say it, and I've said this on the show before, and it's something I really do believe, that the purpose of this life is to cultivate the soul. And what you're saying right there is real soul cultivation. So I just want to pick into a bit of it, because you said two things. I want to pick up on two things. The first one you said is you want to help people with their life expression, to get the best expression of their life. Because we inhabit this physical form for only a short period of time. But then you talked about allowing people to give themselves permission to do so. So I thought those two things were really quite extraordinary from what you said. So tell me, first of all, what does it mean to be expressing your biggest life, your best potential? What does that really mean to people?
I feel like for people to appreciate that, I guess an appreciation of where I was when I was younger, was very angry, was very isolated. I had my own traumas. We all have our own dark chapters that it may not have been our responsibility, or it may not be our fault that it happened to us, but I do believe it is our responsibility to heal it. Otherwise, those energetic cycles will come through in patterns and emotions in personal relationships. And if you're a doctor, whoever maybe, it's literally impacting all of the people around you. So to live a life that is more freer, giving yourself permission to just express more. I mean, in the way it manifests for me is just, I'm just happier more, and and I surround myself with people that light me up, like yourself, with that wonderful beard of yours.
There's my trimmed COVID beard, my friend. It's gone.
And it's just giving yourself permission. Like, even how we met, that was literally a dream manifested, to be able to go to Axiom, which is a seminar we met at in Brussels, Belgium, and be able to be around high level chiropractors and high level human beings in Europe was just so mind opening. But before, I would have never have thought that that was even a possibility until I had mentors that were like, dream massively, and gave me tools to heal myself, so that way I could literally open on up into the world. And that's the cool thing. I don't know what Dr. Tom's like optimal well-being is going to be, and a lot of people don't even know what that can be themselves because they don't give the permission to dream without limitation, because they let the educated mind come on, because it's like, well, how did I get there? Who gives a damn? Like, you don't need to know. You don't have to have that figured out. That's the beautiful thing about the adventure that is life. You get to figure it out as you go.
It's so amazing. It's so true. Like we were saying in the in the pre-show, so, claiming to know it all, like that's just a misnomer. Like nobody knows it all, and that, like you're saying, like I have coaches and you have coaches and you're a coach yourself, which is incredible. And we have people to help us get there, but nobody knows exactly what we need to do to get there, not even ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about giving yourself permission. Why do you think some people don't give themselves permission? You mentioned a little bit about
Oof.
conscious, sort of empowering, but why don't people give themselves permission to do more, be more, just live that best life?
Society. First hit is society, as society can often, even from the time when, so I'm trying to say, we'll see where we go. And, if
Yeah.
you're people like neuroscience, we can dive into that. But brainwaves, and, when you're a kid, essentially you're a sponge, long short of it. And watch how kids move. Watch how kids play. Look at them at recess. Look at how they play on holiday. Look at how they move and groove. They're not trying to be anything, but they're just being. Something about the school system, something about society, something about shame. I feel like shame is a really, really massive uh, tool, or the majority way that society conditions ourselves and tries to force expression or manipulate expressions. Like, oh, don't do that. That's bad. Even just that simple statement that that's bad or that's good, like good and bad is all subjective, and those are all different based upon like your own reality, but it's like there just is. And I feel like a lot of people don't give themselves permission to, because their parents, their friends, their community, their partner, their whatever, whoever was in like in that community, like that's why I say, look, it all starts with community. It's like, because they build the energetic fence of permission for you to just go all out, whatever that looks like, and you don't need to worry about what that looks like because you are safe. I feel like there's a need for safety that a lot of people don't even know that that is important, to then transcend up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But safety is, I believe, the rung just above physiological needs. So if your physiological needs are met, you got to meet that need for safety. And you meet that need for safety, yes, in your community, but you have to cultivate that yourself, and what it means to be safe within inside yourself. So that way the external doesn't matter per se.
So how do you get to a point where you are? I mean, there's obviously tangible things you can do, which emotions stop us from doing so, like going into a new community or just creating a new community of people who are on your wavelength, which I believe is the most one of the most important things we can do. Yet one of the most challenging things to start to lose or distance from friends, family who negate that.
Mm.
But what can people do to cultivate that assurance within themselves, that confidence within themselves, that their actions are right and they should detach themselves from the outcome?
You got to know who you are. You got to know
There's
who
a
you
word
are.
missing from that sentence, isn't
Yeah,
there?
and I'm like, do I swear? Do I not swear? But it's very important that you know who the blank you are. There's a really good book about that, and if you guys need a good book to start, Dr. Brett Jones, know who the
You can
it's
say it,
four
mate. It's
letters. All
fine.
right, know who the fuck you are. It's highly
Yeah.
important. Like, yo, you need to know that shit. And that's, if you don't know who you are, you don't know your soul's journey, you don't know your legacy, you don't know your purpose, you don't know what lights you up, you don't know. So awareness, cultivating awareness, which is one thing I take people through the alchemist triune with my coaching clients, is highly important, because before we can even figure out where do we want to go, we need to establish that red triangle on the GPS system of where are we, what is my purpose, what are the habits and beliefs that are keeping me where I'm at, what do I know, and then what do I know that I don't know, and then what do I don't know that I don't know. A lot of people don't even play in that unknown of what I don't know that I don't know, and they live in these boxes that they were placed in. But it's a matter, you got to break them things on out with like mentors and people that are doing things that kind of just pull you in a means of, man, that feels real exciting, and man, that's something I can see myself doing, and then lean into that and cultivate what is it that excites you. And I was blessed to the universe provided me a space, or if God is your thing too, to stumble, I guess, into chiropractic, or just be really pulled into chiropractic, and then be attracted to Dr. Brett Jones, Dr. Lance Von Stade, the Chiropractic training culture community. And in those spaces, I was able to have more awareness of what was limiting me and unhealed traumas. I was able to work through them in those spaces and outside, because you got to do the work on your own. Like, no one can do that for you. And so that way, when you unpack your baggage, then you can walk a little bit more freely.
I love what you just said there. I know you've come on a huge journey. Like you've mentioned it briefly to me before, which is extraordinary. And you're right. Like no one can do it for you.
Mm-mm.
So often in times we're looking for someone to do it for us. Even from the healing point of view, you get people to come to
Mm-hmm.
you and they say, "Fix me." Like, well, no, that's not how the human body works.
I ain't got shit to fix. I got stuff. I can free you. I can help
Yes,
free you, help free your nervous system, and then it can reorganize and adapt as it's done since the beginning of time. But that's up for you to do. That's not up for me to do. I can't. That's put that literally. If I try to treat you, that's putting you in a box of expectation of what the outcome of this chiropractic care plan or this coaching program will look like. But that's for you to create. And for us, because I don't have all the answers, that's why I love saying I'm a healing facilitator. It's like, man, I'm just kind of like pulling you along and like holding you accountable, yes, and bouncing ideas and shedding ideas, yes. But if it's something nutritionally, if it's something sleep wise, if it's something whatever it may be, but at least in my space, you have permission to be all that you are and feel all that you feel and notice what you notice, and know that you can do that with me, and that's amazing.
I love. You know what? Like, are you lying to
What?
everyone that you haven't actually graduated and been practicing for at least a decade?
Nah,
Because
man, I got
you know,
6
man,
months left.
I've been around. I speak to a lot of chiropractors who can't even articulate chiropractic like that after decades of practice. But it just
Wow.
shows you have put in the work.
Mm.
You've put in the work and you're committed to yourself, but also in that you're committed to helping others. You spoke a little bit earlier about knowing what you know, knowing what you don't know, and then exploring what you don't know further. There comes a point when we have to get to a level of accepting what is
Mm.
and
Mhm.
that we don't know and that we won't know. Like
That's good. That's
I think
good.
I'm trying to remember what I was reading the other day. Um, it's something like this. It's something like it's at the point when people realize they don't need to find God, that they have found Him.
Ooh,
Or in essence,
ooh.
that and you can interchange God for spirit or universal intelligence. The fact that it's not something we're looking for; it's something that is within,
Yep. Yep.
but it's ethereal, and it's being comfortable in that space that things are happening, and if we move with that, it's happening for us, not to us. Which again
Mm.
is another very interesting thing in terms of what's going on right now.
Oof.
Um, so before we
Hmm.
get political, maybe we stay away from being political. But just tell me, I'd love you to
Political.
riff on things don't happen to you; they happen for you.
I mean, that's that when you can understand that. And if y'all don't know who spoke on that, Tony Robbins, look up the Netflix documentary, I Am Not Your Guru, and you'll begin to appreciate where that can come from. Because I feel like when you say things are happening to me, that's victimizing yourself. And that's literally, I see it as pigeonholing me. And, that's not to discount some atrocities that happen to people. And there are people that have experienced massive atrocities that have still overcome them. Can everybody do so? I say yes. I'll still hold that vibration, because if one person can do it, then another person can. And it does take a lot of effort and a lot of awareness. But if you can see how things are doing, or how or why things may be, if you can ask the question, why is this happening to me, or why not me? That can help you break out of a box of victimization or stuckness. Because if you're victimizing yourself, you're getting like stuck in this pattern, and then that pattern is literally going to remanifest into your brain, and you're going to subconsciously or consciously look for something. Like, say you get your heart broken or whatever it may be, and if you stay there, or say they, I don't know, God forbid, they cheated on you or something, that is a massive trauma, and that is freaking terrible. And it happens to so many people. And I'd even say it happens to so many people because the person that did the cheating has been wronged in their life in some way, shape, or form. And that is a cycle of hatred or a cycle of disconnection coming through their matter and coming through their expression. But back to you, the person who got cheated on, it is now up to you to own and understand and capture, or I'll say recapture your sovereignty or recapture your power, because you are here for a purpose, and that happened to you for a purpose. So perhaps you can offer some lessons learned and offer some insights. And that's the thing with these massive traumas that happen in all shapes and forms. The more we can heal them, there's very vital lessons that can come from that, in addition to the image of someone healed from X. This happened to me. Well, man, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah. And as you were speaking then, I just sort of had a thought, like, what if we change that? Things don't happen to me, they happen for me. Like, things don't happen to us, they happen for us. As in, like, a collective
Mm,
consciousness. If we understand that,
mm,
the way the consciousness of the human being is moving,
mm-hmm.
if atrocity happens to somebody, maybe it's at the benefit of many. I mean, and
Yes.
you're not necessarily a deeply religious person, but you take Jesus's example, you know, of atrocity happening to him for the benefit of many. And there's so many examples of that through life. Um, Unfortunately, potentially there was one very recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what good could come out of that very difficult situation, you know?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. And
and
man, I'm inspired to take the baton from that, sir, as there's now global recognition to what happened to George Floyd.
mm,
There's people, it happened in the United States. There's people in all countries, like all countries all over the world, your country being one of them too, that has recognized this massive human atrocity. And that's one thing I definitely want to hit on for sure, as we are all one race. There's just a little bit more melanin in some skin than there are others. That's all it is. It's just
yeah,
literally more melanin. I forget who said it the other day, but it's simple. There's just more melanin coursing through these cells. And the separation that things can perpetuate with racism or in things in that capacity, I mean, it's a distraction.
it is a distraction. I mean, even in my little town of Lincoln, my little town of Lincoln here in the UK, we had a big Black Lives Matter movement, and it was cool because I'll be honest, like this city, I'm from a very, very culturally diverse city, but this city is not.
Mm,
And it was nice to see that happening the other day because it just
mhm,
shows that things are moving.
mhm,
Um, where do you think, like, what do you think? I mean, we've just come out of COVID. We've
mhm,
just had the George Floyd thing. What do you think the world can learn? What do you think the world can learn from these things and take
mm,
forward into the next decade with reference to the points we said earlier about, you know, life expression and doing the best you can with the moment you've got, giving yourself permission? How do you think we can wrap that all into a bubble of something that people can really take away from this show and go, you know what, if I do that, if I commit to this, maybe I will be heading towards my best life expression and moving with a load of other people?
mm. Fantastic. I love that you really put a golden thread through this. I'll try my best to flow with this. COVID taught us the importance of what it means and what it can look like to take care of your health. So that way you're filling up your health bucket, recuperation, movement, nourishment, clearing connected nervous system, soft tissue work, all the things, minimizing your stress. That is empowering. What happened with George Floyd? There's power in your voice. It is time to take action. Don't just be someone in the bleachers. Get you already got a jersey on. And I think that's something a lot of people like take away their jersey at some point in their life. They're like, oh, well, I can't do that, or I don't look like him, so what does it matter what I say? No, actually, if you're one that has experienced white privilege, And that's not and I want to just say, like, it's not a bad thing. Like, or I'm not trying to shame you and saying white privilege, but one thing that is vitally important with just those two things we just mentioned is acknowledgement. Because it is one thing to, oh yeah, well, one race, blah, 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 but that is not to discount the pain and the suffering that has occurred for hundreds of years in the United States in this capacity. It's like being black. If you guys haven't figured it out, I'm black, by the way. I'm also Peruvian, quick side note. It's like going through life in the United States being black is like going through life on hard mode. There's certain perspectives and blind spots that people don't miss or understand. And just like me, like I'm a male, like, so that's my privilege, right? So I don't understand or know all the privileges that I get that women may not get the chance to experience. So I have to effort to understand, to then bridge and then make it better for my peers who are women in my profession and just in life. With giving those selves permission, it's like, this is all happening for us, not to us. And Dr. Crystal Jones, who's an amazing being who I just interviewed on my podcast, mentioned that if we trust the universe's nervous system, if we're thinking in a biological concept, the nervous system will be able to reorganize and adapt if we trust it. So it's like, even though this is uncomfortable, even though there is a lot of emotion, and I'll, a quick side note on the riots and stuff, that isn't all Black Lives Matter truly, or um like black people per se destroying things. Like, there are certain agents or anarchists that are leveraging the riots to turn it into violence because there's another agenda out there. Just wanted to throw that on out there. And
Okay.
yet, because there is the awareness, or people are paying more attention, so as long as they're clear and connected, and so that they've been able to heal some of their traumas. Because when you're traumatized, say the world's traumatized, our profession, by the way, is traumatized a lot, but the world is traumatized, the blinders go up, you get vigilant, you got those horse blinders on your eyes, so that way you can only see things because you're like, I'm in so much pain, I gotta go, I gotta do this. If you can slow down, like in the opportunities we've had, and you can pay attention, and some actionable steps, ask questions that matter. Ask someone that may be of a different skin tone and a little bit more melanin from you, from a different country, from a different city, and they just sit with them, ask them, how has it been being you? What have been some of your biggest struggles, and how can I support you? And oftentimes, and when you get to that last question, just truly listening and shutting up, not trying to compare your life to theirs, not trying to, not even, you don't even need to relate. All you need to do is just sit with things. I feel like, as you're an amazing communicator, Doc. Um, so you know the value of listening, as you're even doing now, as we play with this dance on your podcast. But it's like, the power of listening is so profound, to where you can even help people unlock more of themselves in that. Because a lot of people try to speak to be right, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes for y'all. And you don't need to speak, you just need to be. And in being, you can just listen. So if the world begins to listen a little bit more to what is going on with the heightened awareness, then the action steps will reveal themselves to us in the listening, and then we can actualize or be all that we need to because of it. And then there's going to be something else that happens, but we'll have a greater awareness of all the different cells that make up each and every single individual human being. So that way the human organism is more conscious and more aware, and thus can evolve.
Wow.
Wow.
So, and you you're great at putting it. Like I said before the show, like I was honest with you before the show. Like, this stuff makes me nervous. Like, it makes me nervous because I am from a white privileged background. And when someone first said that term to me, I thought, screw you, I'm not privileged. But then when you start to speak about it and I start to listen,
Nice.
I start to understand. And what you just said there was brilliant when you said about the nervous system, it will adapt and it will heal. And this has just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, someone comes to you with a problem and they say, I've got this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. Fix me.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, dude, one at a time. Let's take our time. And the Black Lives Matter thing, and I'll be honest, when it first came out, I was like, well, come on. There's like Black lives, Asian lives, white lives, and my head goes like, there's all this stuff. And then people go, let's fix this. But if we took your example of what you said there and let's fix Black Lives Matters, let's fix that. Let's fix that. And then once we've healed that, let's think about what else we can fix as a human race. And let's think about what else we can fix as a human race. I don't know whether that you would agree with that or whether you would disagree with that, but I suppose that's my thinking right now.
Like I said, I could definitely sit with that. And that's the thing. Like, you don't need to respond all the time. Definitely don't react. Like, if people could strive to react less, or just be like, oh man, that was a really interesting thought. And Tom, insert name here, whoever is like, I'm gonna sit with that. Or it's like, oh man, well, this is triggering me inside here. I have an unmet need for this. Nonviolent communication is something that needs to permeate this whole world, because I feel like it is the human impulse to literally, someone says something, someone's instantly triggered, when it's like, man, was that their intention, or are you just lost in the impact? And intention versus impact is something that has really been coming up for me the last several months, as I put out a video on my Facebook, and one of my professors, it really upset one of my professors, and I really, really respect them. And when they shared that with me, I was like, oh man, like, you really took offense to that. And I just felt so low. And then I rewatched the video, and I was like, wait, I didn't say anything like adverse or intentionally to like hurt their feelings. And I had to go seek them out also to even have that conversation. Well, what would it have looked like if instead they reached out to me and was like, hey, I just saw your Facebook video. I'm feeling this. I see. And they did say like they saw my intention, which I was so grateful for. And that's the even reason or basis we even have that conversation. It's not like they were just super triggering. They had the emotional intelligence to be like, okay, this is triggering something inside me. It's like, that couldn't be it. It's like, man, if we could strive, get lost in the sauce of biochemistry, which is all that's going on like in our body. You're not a slave to your biochemistry, because guess what? You're not a slave to your body. You are a soul that is inhabiting a body, not the other thing around. But so many people lose their sovereignty with their body. It's like, man, the body is the servant. It is not the master. But if you will remain unconscious to the emotions and to the reactions, then the body becomes the master and your mind becomes the slave.
You just saw me dancing, didn't you? You got me going there,
Yeah,
man. I was like, yeah, loving it. But
you,
the soul, it's the
so
soul.
yeah, you can do it.
The soul has no race. The soul has no skin color. The soul has
Yes,
no
yes.
form. Like, you know, the soul is all that is, really. And if we connect with our soul, then this whole matter just would dissolve.
Yes.
And one thing I think people are really struggling with, having both these things at the same time, the COVID and the Black Lives Matter, is that, especially here in this country, it's still quite strict. I can't hug a patient. I can't touch a
Oh my
patient on the shoulder. I can't
God.
take a glove off and have skin on skin, So, when you said just listen, like, when you just want to listen and touch, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge part of human connection.
Mm.
And without being able to do that while this is going on, I mean, that makes it
Mm-hmm.
even more difficult. But
Yeah.
when we just lean into our soul and really understand who we are, and that we do have an energetic connection with every other being on the planet, it can really create some comfort and some powerful shifts and movements for the future.
Yes.
I want you to, because your podcast is called Soul Coffee, is that right? Coffee for the
Yeah.
Soul?
Soul coffee. But I
Soul
like the way you
Coffee.
say it with that accent better.
It's literally my two favorite things in the world are the soul and coffee.
Ooh.
Sorry, and my wife. That's my
There
three
you go.
favorite things together. So, like, I just I love it. I literally love it because they are my favorite things in the world. My wife, my coffee, and my
Amazing.
soul. And
Yeah.
I would love you to just, as we wrap things up, just riff a little bit on the meaning of your podcast, um, why Soul Coffee, and you know, some tips you can leave our audience with.
Hmm. So the reason that it started to come about, you could say it was a little bit selfish of a manner it started off, but I just felt I found myself, I love connection. I'd say it's a superpower. Like I really, really love connecting with people. And I just feel like I've just had so many conversations in my life, especially in grad school. Like these last 3 years have been bonkers, brother. Like they've been nuts. They've been nuts. And I was like, man, if that was recorded and then other people heard that, I feel like that would be really valuable. And it just got to the point where it was like, I'm gonna make a podcast. I think I'm gonna make a podcast that way some people or people can gain some benefit to learn how to have conversations that matter, because it is definitely a skill in traversing, because I don't give a damn about the weather. I can look outside, I'll figure out the weather. Like that's the least of my concern. Um and some people are so conditioned to being like, oh, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. All right, cool. And it's so interactless, it's so soulless, it's so unintentional, it's so ugh. Like that's not what lights my fire up. So in being able to have conversations that matter, I learned that that was the vehicle in which does something to my spirit, which oftentimes in my wonderful adventure of school, I haven't slept an average of probably 5.5 hours, which is obviously has its own repercussions, and I'm getting better at that. However, it's conversations that matter that energize me greater than what sleep has done for me. So even though I might not be sleeping what is beneficial or could be vital to my body, I'm still showing up at a very high level with that energy that she spoke about. And some people, uh, can get repelled from, I guess, but it's all a matter of love. And it's like, man, I just love living life. And if I can help people take a little sip of soul coffee, so that way they feel like they got this just wonderful hug, like at the soul level, like you just feel nourished and you just feel warm and you just feel loved and you just feel connected and on purpose, and you just found some kind of resonance in that capacity, then be energized or vitalized as the soul caffeine, quote unquote, kicks in, then you will have the energy to transform your life. And that shit is amazing. And I don't even need to see that per se, because we don't know what's going to happen, but I'll put it out there. And if I happen to get a message or a hug later, or like, man, thank you for sharing that, or that was fire, man, it was all worth it.
Amazing. So Soul Coffee is obviously where people can go and find you at on the podcast.
Yeah,
Where else can
podcast
people hook
app.
up with you, man? Where else can people hook up with you?
Oh man, you can find me on the podcast app, Soul Coffee. It's up on Spotify as well. But feel free to reach out to me if y'all would love to say hi. I'd love to say hi. And I challenge y'all, if you want to say hi, send me a video. I love video interaction. You can find me on Facebook, Jamal, Jamal. Last name is Fruster, Fruster, and there's umlauts over the U, because it's not Fruster. It's definitely not Fruster. Or you can find me on Instagram, which is just at Jamal Fruster. Nice and simple. And I believe those are my two main things. I'm on LinkedIn, but I'm working on that shit. So Facebook, Instagram, or um, YouTube, I actually got too, in case you guys would like to see, because I feel like it's highly beneficial and you can feel energy to see that interaction. If you want to see some interviews or if you need some inspiration, I'm definitely going to blow that channel on up this summer. So stay tuned for that as well.
So I'm so excited for what the world is going to get from you. Like selfishly, so excited for myself to watch your journey, because I know it's just going to fill me up too. Um, just leave our audience with something great, because I know you got like you could record a whole 24 hours on this, but give us a little bit of gold to go away with today.
Gotcha, my boy. If you're listening to this, I want you to close your eyes and feel this. You are meant to be. You deserve to be here. You deserve your dreams. Give yourself the permission to go out and chase them. You don't need to know the how perfectly, but just see it so grand in your mind's eye, or in your wonderful, in that wonderful brain of yours. It has the ability to think of all these things. What would a 10 out of 10 look like in your life? Romantically, physically, career-wise, adventure-wise, physically, environment wise. Whatever your dream is, you got to paint that thing and think of yourself as the Picasso to your life. Because if you effort to create that vision for yourself and you are willing to put in the work and you are willing to do the inner work to identify the habits and the beliefs and the reasons and why you're where you're at, how you're at, well, then you'll be able to go where you want to go. And it's only going to take you, because that is what you need. And you can cultivate these spaces in the community and the friends and the resources. Those things will all reveal themselves if you're willing to do the inner work and you're willing to paint that vision, because the universe is always taking notes. And it's taking notes about you, because guess what? You are the universe experiencing more of itself each and every single day with each and every single one of your actions. So take action and take the pen to your life and create a wonderful masterpiece. Let's go. Let's go.
Jamal, you have made my week.
Oh,
Thank
let's
you
go.
ever so much for being on the show. I cannot wait to put this one out. People are going to get so much from it. Please, please, please go and follow Jamal. Look up Soul Coffee.
Come say hi.
Please share this episode with anyone who needs to hear it, but also everybody else who does also need to hear it.
I love it.
And Jamal, thank you ever so much for being on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, man. Pleasure is all mine. And shoot, maybe if I hang around you more, I can pick up a little bit of that accent.
Jamal, that was amazing. That was amazing.